Alright, what's up everybody? It's your boy Keenan. Welcome to the Pro Football Exclusive College Football Blog. Here to give you the preview for Week 3 of the 2012 college football season. Now before I get into all of my key matchups, I need to give you some developing news across the nation in college football. The University of Notre Dame has decided to switch all of their athletic sports except for football towards the ACC conference. Now things won't get started until 27 months from today. So for the next 2 years, all the teams for Notre Dame is still going to be played for their respective conferences. But football is still going to remain as an independent conference, but they're actually probably going to be leaning towards the ACC conference, which was a big shocker to me because I thought Notre Dame was more likely going to play for the Big Ten conference because of all their rivalry matchups against Michigan, Michigan State, and Purdue. And I thought being in Big Ten country in the state of Indiana, I thought that Notre Dame was going to join the Big Ten conference. But like all these other schools switching conferences, they headed to go towards the ACC conference. And obviously it's because of getting more money for the school and earning more revenue. So I have to give a little bit of props for Notre Dame. That is a smart decision, but geographically and mindful and throughout the history, Notre Dame is more of a Big Ten school, but I think they could do well in the ACC conference and they can help them out a lot in the future. But hopefully that football will become a non-independent team and join the ACC conference as well, just like the other sports. Now, I'm going to get things away with all my key matches for Week 3, starting with Thursday night's matchup between Rutgers and South Florida. Quarterback B.J. Daniels of the Bulls had a couple of great games, and I think he's become a better passing quarterback. But this is going to be a tough Rutgers defense, and this is the best defense in the Big East Conference. Now, on the offensive side, they have a decent quarterback in Gary Nova, and Jawan Jameson is leading the way in the ground game. And because of Rutgers having a better defense and ground game, I have to go with the Scarlet Knights with this matchup. Next game to look at on Saturday, Wake Forest is going to be traveling to FSU to face the Noles, number 5 ranked team in the nation. Good quarterback in E.J. Manuel, but one player that I liked in particular who is stepping up this season is Bjorn Werner, who is leading the nation with 5 sacks this year, replacing Brandon Jenkins, who is out for the remainder of the season. He was one of the top sack leaders of the ACC conference last year, and I thought he was going to be due for a great impact season for the Noles. But with Warner in the mix, I think this Nole defense is still going to do well, even without Greg Reed, who's no longer with the team, kicked out of the team. And Nole's offense, they still need to get that run game together, but I think E.J. Manuel is going to do well in the passing game. But this is going to be a good upset alert for the Noles because Wake Forest did beat North Carolina last week when I thought the Tar Heels was going to win that matchup. This could be a sleeper for an upset for FSU, but I'm still going to go with the Noles in this one. They should win dominantly in this matchup. Next game to look at, California is going to be traveling to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Braxton Miller has been a big-time dual threat this season, passing and particularly running the football more effective than he was last season. He has improved as a sophomore. I have to go with the Buckeyes all the way in that matchup. Next game to look at, number 16 TCU is going to have their first Big 12 conference matchup against the Kansas Jayhawks, led by quarterback Dane Chris. Now he had just a couple touchdowns and some interceptions, but he just needs to improve a little bit. He is that big-time quarterback for Charlie Weiss in that offense. But one thing I do like about this Kansas Jayhawk team is they have a pretty decent ground game with Tony Pearson and Taylor Cox, both over a couple of rushing touchdowns and averaging over 6 yards per carry combined. I think they could probably run well against TCU, but the TCU's defense, Gary Patterson's defense, and of course Casey Pat Hall at the quarterback position, they're going to be just a little bit too much for the Jayhawks, who is still developing and trying to rename themselves in the Big 12 Conference from what they had a couple years back when they won the Orange Bowl. I'm still sticking on Saturday. I have more matches to look at. Arkansas is going to be hosting number 1 Alabama. Now this could have been my game of the week had Arkansas won last week with that upset loss to Louisiana Monroe. Now quarterback Tyler Wilson is still scheduled to play in this matchup and to start for the Arkansas Razorbacks, but he's going to be coming off with a little shaky situation because last week he suffered a head-on collision, a headshot, and I thought he might have dealt with a mild concussion, but he got the okay to start in this matchup. But I think Alabama's defense is too much, and based on that loss last week to Louisiana Monroe, this is a definite loss for the Arkansas Razorbacks. So I'm going to have to go with the Crimson Tide all the way. Number 1 team in the nation. What else can I say? Next game to look at, Virginia is going to be traveling to Georgia Tech to face the Yellow Jackets. Now this is going to be a good ACC showdown. The Virginia Cavaliers, one of my sleepers for the ACC conference, but they're facing against a tough Georgia Tech team who ended up making a good run in that first matchup against Virginia Tech. They lost in overtime 20-17. Now this is a good Georgia Tech team with a great ground game. Their defense is not that bad, and last week they ended up pulling off 3 points, and I think they should have started off the season off with an easier team to warm them up, then get ready for Virginia Tech. But to start the season off right off the bat with one of the top teams of the ACC conference, they suffered a loss, but they played a great match, and I think they're going to do the same against the Virginia Cavaliers. I'm going to have to go with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in this matchup. Next game to look at, one of the top games of the week. Florida's going to be traveling to Tennessee to face the Volunteers. Now, head coach Derek Dooley is on the hot seat. The Volunteers head coach, he's on the hot seat this season. Didn't make it to a bowl game last year, and this is going to be a year. This is going to be a deciding factor for his head coach vacancy at Tennessee. He's a decent head coach, but he just hasn't gotten everything together. But this year, starting the season off 2-0, great defensive effort and great quarterback play by Tyler Bray, who's actually doing well thus far in the season, especially in that first game against NC State, 333 yards. Now, going into Florida, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries this season, particularly on the defensive side with star linebacker Delanie Jones. He is out in this matchup, but the secondary is pretty good for the Florida Gators. They can make a run for their money against the Tennessee Volunteers, but the one key player that needs to step it up this game is Jeff Driscoll. He did improve a little bit last week, but total this year he has 9. He was sacked 9 times, and that cannot be happening. He needs to get rid of the ball a lot better. Now, this game, the relationship with his receivers, Reed, Hines, Hammond, they're going to have to step up and build a good chemistry with one another and get over these young plays, meaning like that inexperienced play. They need to step it up a little bit and stop acting like young players and being more mature together and build a good relationship with Driscoll and his receivers, and that's going to be key for this matchup. But I have to go with the Vols in this one. This could be a good job saving for Derek Dooley, going back to him. If he ends up winning this game, I think that the Tennessee Volunteers can claw their way back into national prominence that we've seen years ago. So I'm going to have to go with the Vols in this matchup. Next game to look at, this could be another upset alert. Ohio's going to be traveling to Marshall to face the Thundering Herd. I think that Marshall can't upset this team, but I'm still going to stick with Tyler Tellington and the Bobcats in this matchup. Next game to look at, this is going to be a great close matchup between Missouri hosting Arizona State. Now, Arizona State has a pretty good defense with linebacker Carl Bradford. He has 2.5 sacks. And defensive tackle Will Sutton, who has 2 sacks, as well as defensive back Alden Darby, who has 2 interceptions this season. So their defense is pretty well, and they have a well-balanced offense, and they're going to be facing it against a tough Tiger team who is hosting this game. They're not looking to get back-to-back home losses. They lost last week to Georgia, but now I have to go with Arizona in this one. Arizona State, sticking with Justin's team in this one because I do like this team a lot. Well-rounded on both sides of the field, offensively and defensively. Next game to look at, a Pac-12 showdown between number 2 USC and number 21 Stanford. The matchup is obviously between Josh News and Matt Barkley. This is a no-brainer for me. I'm going to have to go with Matt Barkley in this one. Too many weapons for USC. They should be able to crush Stanford and avenge last season's loss. Next game to look at, my game of the week, number 20 Notre Dame is going to be facing number 10, Michigan State. This is going to be a great matchup to look at, and this is my game of the week for this week, and this is going to be a great match to watch. Notre Dame and Michigan State has been dealing with a lot of clawing their ways, good battles for the last couple of seasons, and I'm going to have to go with Michigan State in this one because last week Notre Dame struggled against Purdue, and I do not have too much faith in rookie quarterback Everett Golson, who has very little experience. Same for Andrew Maxwell for Michigan, but the defense for Michigan State is just dominant, particularly in their run defense. They ended up holding both Central Michigan and Boise State in that first matchup. They have a great defensive line, a great front seven with Golston, Allen all together, DeNikos Allen. I mentioned these 2 players before. This is a great defense, and I think they're going to stop the run for Notre Dame, even though Sierra Wood is returning for this matchup. But I have no faith on Everett Golston. He's going to be that X factor for Notre Dame, and because of that game last week against Purdue, a weaker opponent, I got to go with MSU in this matchup. Now, my upset game of the week, I'm going to go with UNC North Carolina over number 19 Louisville. The reason why I'm going to stick with North Carolina in this matchup is because Louisville is the most vulnerable to lose, and I think with the explosive offense of North Carolina, they could probably outscore the Louisville Cardinals. So I'm going to have to go with UNC over Louisville as my upset game of the week. Now, next time I'm going to catch you guys is either on Monday or Tuesday, most likely Tuesday, to give you a recap of Week 3 of the college football season. Thank you for watching today's vlog from Pro Football Exclusive. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.